Welcome back to the Daily Dose podcast with yours truly, Jasmine Clark. This is a place where we have real talk, real growth, real community, and a whole lot of Jesus. I just want to say I appreciate every like, comment, and subscribe. You guys are really causing this community to really grow, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm just glad to be back. But I got a lot to share with you all. We are going to continue the episodes, continue the journey together, because what are we doing here? We're doing life together. So I just want you all to feel safe here, feel loved here, feel seen here, feel valued here, because I care about you and I want you to be a part of the family. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button, you like the video, and you share with a friend that may need to hear what I have to share with you on today. Everybody needs community. I learned that your environment matters. If you're not in the right environment, if you are not with the right people, if you're not in the right rooms, then you are not going to grow to the place that God wants you to grow. God really cares about our environment and our community. So I'm making sure when you come here that you feel safe, that you feel seen, that you feel heard, and that you feel like you matter, because you do. So where have I been? The last episode, I spoke about making room for God. I talked about why it's important for us to let go of things and make room for God. And let me tell you, that's exactly what I did. There was a few things that I had to do to make room for God during the time that I was not recording my podcast. I decided that it was time for me to really go to God with the hard things, the things that I wasn't talking to people about, the things that I still needed to heal from that took place in prior seasons of my life. I had to make room for God in my heart and be vulnerable with Him and be real with God. Not only did I make room, I made sure in that time that I was intentional about it, because I had to turn my plate down. You have to do the hard thing to get healed. Healing takes time, and also healing takes intentionality. You cannot be healed being a victim every day. And there are some hard things that I have personally went through that were messed up, that was wrong, that was unjust, that was not right. And I had to take those things at the feet of the Lord. And I had to make sure to turn my plate down. I was up, it was 3 something in the morning, almost 4 o'clock in the morning. While my husband was sleeping, I was on my phone and I was looking up videos about like juicing and stuff like that. I have a juicer. Those that know me, I am definitely a health and wellness girly. My weight does fluctuate here and there, but that's a conversation for another day. We're going to talk about health and wellness and all of the beautiful things of the body and things like that. But I was looking at different people that juice, and because I love juicing, my husband juices watermelons all the time. We drink watermelon juice. We make our own green juice. We just make a lot of different juices with our juicer. I have the Nama juicer, and it's so good, like so good. So as my husband was sleeping and I was up at 3 to 4 something in the morning, I literally felt the tug of the Lord to go on a fast. And I immediately was like, okay. And it was a liquid only fast. When you have a relationship with God, He will speak to you specifically and tell you the instructions He has for you. Now, God may have told me go on a 3-day liquid fast, and He may tell you to do something completely different. You have to know how to hear Him for what He's telling you to do in certain seasons. So in that season, God told me to go on a fast, and I went on a 3-day liquid fast and had juices only. Actually, it ended up being 4 days. So it started off at 3 days. I did 4 whole days, liquids only. As I was on the fast, I was literally allowing God to deal with the pain of old seasons, things that I have encountered that I have literally, I don't talk about, things that I have encountered that I have literally went to my prayer closet with, things that I had to endure that I never thought I would experience. Like it was crazy. Okay. And as I went on the fast, I started to pour out my heart to God. And I was honest with God. I was real raw. I woke up the next day. My husband woke up. I was getting ready for work. And I looked at him and I was like, babe, I'm just going to let you know I'm not going to be eating. I'm going on a fast. and I'm going to be fasting for 3 days. I am not going to eat anything, so please do not tempt me with no food. Please. You got to know how to push the plate back, put that fork and that spoon down, and just have discipline, okay? But first thing my husband said to me was, oh, okay, I'm going to fast with you. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, I'm going to fast with you. So he ended up joining me on the 3-day liquid only fast. And it, like I said, it did not just last 3 days. We went up to 4 days with no food, liquids only. So I was drinking herbal teas, juice from my juicer, and water with like lemon and stuff like that. But I had literally no food. The Lord did a new thing in my mind and heart, because sometimes when you go through challenging seasons or seasons that left you broken, God will use your pain to birth out beautiful purpose in your life. I went through seasons where I felt like my character was being abused. Felt like my character was being tarnished. I felt like my character was being dragged through the mud. And I had to bring those things to the Lord. It was not easy, but it was so worth it. And I can honestly say that God taught me a lot about forgiveness, especially during the week of Holy Week when we were going through Good Friday and just reminiscing on what Jesus went through before he got on the cross. Because a lot of us, we talk about Calvary. Yes, that is a victorious moment, right? Because Jesus did the assignment of God all the way until the end. He said, nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done. So no matter what the pain that it cost him, he still was committed to his assignment that God placed on his life, no matter what. Passion of the Christ is an eye-opening movie that I think that believers should watch. It really opened up my eyes to the beauty of forgiveness. And there's some things you got to forgive and leave it to God, and still pray for people that you feel have sinned against you. And even though I may never get an apology for certain things, I still had to learn how to lay it at the feet of Jesus. And that's not an easy thing to do.
But that doesn't mean that you would stay somewhere and be abused. You can forgive, but that don't mean that you got to stay to be abused.
I agree. You don't. You can have boundaries. Boundaries is a beautiful thing. Boundaries is just saying, listen, I love you, but because you're becoming a repeat offender and you keep doing the same thing that's hurting me, I can love you, but not have to accept bad behavior.
I'm not going to stay in that because I got to guard my heart above all else, because it determines the course of my life. There's certain paths God is not going to let me go on because I keep letting certain cycles and I keep letting certain people treat me a certain type of way.
Yeah. And God doesn't want us to keep going through the same cycles day after day, moment after moment, week after week, month after month, and so on, for you to stay in the same place.
God may be waiting for you to make a choice.
You have to make a choice because God gives us free will. And at the end of the day, there are some things that we know, okay, this is not right. It's in plain sight and we make excuses for it.
Dysfunction will always look like destiny till truth comes to expose it.
I was allowing God to see about me. I was allowing God to love on me. I was allowing God to nurture the areas that were wounded and take off all of the weight that I was feeling that were causing me to lose who I was. I was becoming a different person because of the old season that I was in. I did not even recognize who Jasmine was anymore. And because I didn't recognize who I was anymore, I had to go to God and say, listen, Lord, you are the one that created me. I cannot become something that I'm not because I'm trying to fit a box that someone else is trying to put me in that I know you did not create me to be. That is so,
Restricting.
yeah, it felt very restricting.
You got tired of being in one place with no movement,
Yeah.
no growth.
Mm-hmm.
Just like how you're doing this podcast, that we're going to have real talk, real growth, real community. All those things take a certain effort, a certain movement. But when you're somewhere and you're hours in it and you see no growth, and you see it in other individuals how they have no growth at all, it bothers you. That, you know how they say, oh, God is going to do open doors? It felt like it was no doors in the season of where you was, except exit.
Not only did I need God to deal with the things that were in my heart, the Bible tells us also, cast all of your cares unto God because he cares for you. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people feel like God don't care about how you feel.
Don't care about your emotions.
Or your emotions. But Jesus was able to feel every emotion you can ever think of. There's no way that God created us with emotions for him not to care about what he created in us. He said that in your weakness, my strength is made perfect in your weakness. He wants us to lean on him. He doesn't want us to lean in our own strength. My husband is in the background right now, so we will be talking and dialoguing as well throughout this episode whenever he feels led to chime in. And you may never know, you may see him behind the camera with me, but you got to stay tuned for that. You got to subscribe for that because that's going to be a very special episode when my husband does show up on camera with me. We're going to have a great conversation. When I went on that fast, God was dealing with my mind, the way I was thinking. He was dealing with the state of my heart, and he was also dealing with my emotions. Those things matter to God. He cares about what's going on in our hearts, what's going on in our minds, what's going on in our emotions. So those 4 days were transformative for me. You have to pray for people, even the ones that mislabel you, misunderstand you, and misdiagnose you. Right. You can't live your life trying to prove your value to anyone.
What gets in the way of people making room for God?
I think it can be a lot of things. It could be busyness. It could be feelings of being unworthy. It can also be their view of God. They may view God as someone that doesn't love them. A lot of people doesn't make room for someone they believe doesn't love them. You know, it's easy for me to make room for you in my life because I know you love me. So if I have to question your love or I have to question my value or my place in your life, I'm most likely not going to make room for somebody that I don't feel safe with. It could also be, for those that do know God's love, it can be busyness, idleness. Also, it's feeling unworthy. They feel like, man, I am not the best fit or the best choice or the best person to even embrace the love that you are telling me God has for me because I didn't experience that in my family or I didn't experience that with a group of people. A lot of people have a negative and a bad view of God. So if you're not going to make room for something you don't feel accepted by, and even though the truth of the matter is God does accept you, you have to come to grips with believing that. The Bible tells us right here in Romans 5:8, but God demonstrates his love for us in this while we were still sinners. Okay? Christ died for us.
So you didn't have it all together.
I didn't have nothing together. I was messed up. I was toe up. I was special enough and loved enough for him to lay his life down for me. And a lot of people do not believe. Like, why would a perfect, blameless God love a nasty, messy, jacked up individual like me? Most times it can be because you are mirroring the character of God with the character of people that say they are representations of God. That can mess up your view of God when you are around people that say they love God, but their character's not matching and it's not lining up. So it can cause you to have this distorted view of God because of people. It's like, okay, I'm in a marriage with you and you love me so well. And I'm always comparing you. Oh, well, my ex did X, Y, and Z to me. But it's like, but you're not doing that. That is the person that did not see my value. The last person was a person that didn't see my value, that didn't love me the way that God said to love me, and didn't see my worth. But now God has given me somebody that sees my worth, that accepts me for who I am, that challenges me to grow, that sacrifices for me, that grows with me, that does life with me. And if I stay stuck in what happened before, I cannot embrace what I'm in now, the new that I'm in now. You don't have to try to earn God's love. You're learning how to trust it. I want somebody to know God don't hate you. God is not waiting for you to mess up so you can be condemned. The love of God brings such conviction that you yourself would want to become better and change, because as God convicts you, your love for him should grow. If you are feeling condemned and feeling like you don't do nothing right and feeling like nothing you do is good enough, that is not coming from God. That is coming from the enemy. That is coming from the devil himself. And I need you to know that God does not hate you. Jesus really does love you. Religion tells you I will obey God so that he can love me. The gospel says God loves me, so I want to obey him. Obedience is not, oh, let me do X, Y, and Z so God can love me. You're not working for love, because if you had to work for love, then what he did at the cross is null and void. And that would never be a thing. When Jesus died on the cross for us, he said it is finished. So that's for your past, present, and future sins. Because at the end of the day, we are going to end up falling short in some form or fashion. When you're loved unconditionally, obedience, it just flows. Like the love of God is so good, it makes you want to obey him. And when I say obey him, it makes you want to reverence him. It makes you want to serve him. It makes you want to respond differently when things happen in your life, because his love is so consistent. When somebody loves you, it makes you consider your ways. I had a little breakdown. It was a breakdown for something that took place, and I broke down. And the way that my husband loved me, it healed parts of me that I didn't even know needed healing. When my husband showed me so much love and grace, and when he could have responded and gave me, I guess you could say, mean energy, or just not be loving towards me, and he responded with love, I was like, oh my God, like, you really love me. I started crying, like thanking God. Like, I was like, God, you really did your big one. Because listen, he was so patient with me that I knew God's love was real. My husband's love for me was so genuine that I had to thank God for it. That's how genuine it was. And it still is. That I started thanking God, and I said, God, this is how you love me. And his love for me reminded me of the love that God has for me. Because when you're loved unconditionally, obedience becomes a response. It makes me want to serve better, do better, respond better, become better. It comes naturally when you love someone. God is not looking at your life with a pencil and saying, yep, wrong on this day. Yep. No, the devil is the accuser of the brethren, not God. God is not trying to find reasons to accuse you, to make you feel unworthy, and to make you feel like you are not worth his love. It's by grace, right? That you have been saved through faith, not by works, so that no one can boast. His love for you was proven already at the cross. Your relationship with God is not a performance. Your relationship with God is a relationship. He wants to do life with you. He wants you to go to him when you have questions. You're allowed to ask God questions. I know some of you heard you can't question God. You are allowed to go to God and sincerely say, God, I don't understand X, Y, and Z, whatever that is. And you're going to him and you're asking God, how should I go about this? Pray. That's dialogue.
How do you feel about doing this podcast? Like, why did you start this podcast?
I started this podcast because honestly, it was years ago that God put it on my heart to do a podcast. And all of my life I heard, oh, you have such a great speaking voice. Like when you speak, it really touches my heart and things like that. I've even had a stranger. Remember that time when we went to visit my grandma and we visited her church and we went to church with her and it was such a great experience. And after we all came together, we talked and stuff. And there was this random guy that came out. And what did he say, babe? You remember what he said to me?
Bible study after church.
Yeah. It was like a small group at the church. Yeah, it was. And what did the guy say to me?
The guy was like, I could not understand what the leader was saying in Bible study. He said, but when you talk, he said, I've been here for months and I could not gravitate. I could not understand what the guy was saying. Yeah. He said, but you visiting here, this was the first time in a long time. And I just been trying to get closer to God. I've been trying to understand him. He said, you broke down some things that I literally can relate to and I can understand. And I'm so grateful for that. And he said, listen, please keep doing this, keep talking. And you said, hey, I even thought about a podcast. He said, please do it because I'm going to comment on it. I'm going to watch it over and over and over. And he just connected with what you were saying. He said, everything you said, it helped me in my life and what I was going through.
Wow. I remember that. And thank you for sharing because when he said that to me, I was like, wow, I'm really sleeping on myself because I have been listening to podcasts for years. Even when we first started talking and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I really like podcasts. I like to listen to people that talk about things of substance, stuff that makes you think, even encouragement. People need to be encouraged sometimes. Life can be challenging. Life can be hard. And sometimes people need to know like, hey, I'm not the only one dealing with X, Y, and Z or whatever. Right. So when he said that to me, it really made me like really think about it. Like, why am I felt like I was in a place of being muzzled. Like I was not able to be fully Jasmine and who God called me to be because at the time I was in a place where I couldn't fully be.
You wasn't free.
Yeah.
You didn't have time to make room for what God already put inside of you to do. That was just it.
Yeah. My first podcast that I did, it was called Royal Life of Jazz Podcast. And it was so good. The first episode I talked about was Fear is Not Your Friend. I talked about fear not being your friend. And I was just like, fear is like the friend that when it sees you trying to produce and do something great, is whispering in your ear saying, do you think that that's really going to happen? Or it's trying to make you second guess yourself. And it's like you're in a battle between faith and fear.
Sound like Eve and the serpent.
Yeah. It's convincing you of the opposite of what God already told you about yourself. A lot of people wrestle between faith and fear. There is a time to utilize wisdom. There's also a time to do what God said. And a lot of people, and me included, I wasn't doing what God told me because of fear. It had nothing to do with, like, we try to mask it and say, oh, it's not the time yet. You got to wait on the timing of God. Okay, so you can't say that in every season. Seasons change. So you telling me every season you're not going to do what God calls you to do? Because if you don't do it, he's going to use somebody else.
Sometimes people share their opinions and they call that wisdom.
Wow.
It has no principles to it. So how could it be wisdom?
Right. And then there's no fruit to go with it, like, at all. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you hold yourself back because you're believing the lie that everybody else said about you, especially the enemy. Like he would try to convince you that what you're doing it's not the will of God.
So now that you started your podcast back up, does it make you get closer to God, or does it make you not have room for God now? Yeah.
For me personally, it makes me closer to God because I know that words have power. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And if you're using a podcast to use your voice to speak into the lives of people, you don't have no idea who's going to be watching your videos. It could be people that like you, people that don't like you. It don't matter who it is. It could be people that never met you a day in your life. And you have to make sure, for me personally, that you're providing conversations that are going to cause people to want to know more about not just yourself, but about God. Because a lot of people, they're lacking hope. They don't have any hope in their lives. They don't see a reason to live. A lot of people are just existing. I don't want you to be watching my podcast, watching me, and you're not doing what God put in you to do. I pray that the podcast that you're watching, that it causes you to want to tap in to the greatness that's on the inside of you, so that you pick up and do what God put in your heart to do. Because whatever that is, it's going to bring light in the lives of people that are literally suffering in silence or suffering in darkness. There's a time to speak and there's a time to be quiet. I went through years of not doing my podcast because I was going through years of different processes, healing from things, dealing with things in secret, going through just things that I never imagined that I would deal with. And now God has given me the opportunity again. And sometimes when God gives you the opportunity and you don't do it, you feel like, man, when is that going to come back around? So now that it came back around, I'm going to utilize what God placed in my hands to do, what he put in my mouth to do, because it's not just for me to keep to myself. We're supposed to share the good news. We're supposed to share the good news of Jesus, right? So it's not just for me to get fat off the word and go to church and go to Bible study and go to all of these things and just keep it to myself. I'm supposed to tell other people about Jesus. I want to see them do well. I want to see them prosper, because you should want to see people you love, even people you don't even know like that, prosper.
How do you feel about having good health?
Good health. You know how I feel about having good health.
All right, what does it mean for you to have good health literally in your everyday life? Not just doing it once in a blue moon. Having a shot of ginger and lemon one time in a week.
I'm screaming. Not one time in a week.
Yeah, baby. So how do you feel about having like literally good health, going through the process of detoxing maybe, having your energy balanced out right, the things that you eat, things that you don't eat. Because I know with you, you do not like red 40, yellow dye. If it's any of that, child, return to sender. That's how you be with me.
And do. Because, okay, you know, babe, before I hit 30, I've always been into health and wellness. Back in 2020, I was a part of a company called TLC, and I was selling detox teas. I was selling just all type of health and wellness products, like even like stuff to help you with your energy levels, because I have suffered from feeling like a lot of fatigue. And, you know, sometimes you just need that extra pick-me-up to help you. So in 2020, actually my godmom, she actually got me into that, because she was a part of the company at the time as well. And I was just like, you know what? During COVID, a lot of people was getting sick and stuff. But even before COVID, people was getting sick. But around that time, a lot of people were literally in their house and they were just eating. And I was just like, okay, are we going to be gluttonous? Like, are we going to just be, we got to put the bonbons down. We got to put the Twinkies and I don't even remember the last time I even had it. When's the last time you had a Twinkie? I don't even remember the last time I had a Twinkie. Like, who eats that? I wanted to help motivate people to understand the importance of health and wellness. And like I was telling you, because you remember we went on that fast together, and that fast actually reminded me, like, wow, I was doing this back in the day, and now it's like a full recircle moment. Health and wellness became important to me, not even just in 2020 when people were at home just eating. The first job that I had when I moved to Florida was Jamba Juice. I was making smoothies. I was juicing. I was doing the ginger shots of cayenne pepper. I was doing all of it. Okay, all of that. When I came from New York and I came out here, baby, I was health and wellness mamas. Like that's who I was. I was really into that. I seen people coming inside of the store that was literally getting ready to go to the gym, or they came after post workout and they're like, okay, I'm doing my workout. I need my protein shake. I learned about whey protein, soy, all types of different proteins and fruits and what works for people. So I feel like your everyday journey in health and wellness is so important because God gave us a temple to steward. The same way you're supposed to steward your relationships and your marriage and your people around you, your jobs, your finances, things like that, you have to steward what you put in your body because you only get one. And a lot of people say like, oh, you only die once, so live your life, eat your food. Okay, but you don't have to die early if you just eat better. But you got to steward yourself. You have to steward your body. God does not want us to treat our bodies like a garbage disposal. So what really hit it for me was when I think it was 2018, I had gained some weight, but I wasn't like what happened to me when I hit my 30s. But when I was in my 20s, I had gained some weight and I was always like the thick, curvy girl. Like that's just what I was growing up, right? But in 2020, fast forward, I had lost a lot of weight. I was making videos of me working out. I was actually taking the detox teas. I was doing all of the things. And I didn't even have a gym membership, babe. Like I didn't have a gym membership. I was working out outside in front of my house. I did a jump rope challenge and I was like, put the snacks down, pick up the jump rope. Put the snacks down, pick up the jump rope. Like I thought I was doing something. I had this thing called Jump Start with Jazz. So I wanted people to jumpstart their day, get a jump rope, or jumpstart your day with just getting at least 30 minutes working out, like walking. This is simple things. God wants us to steward our body. He wants us to take care of our temple because it is a form of worship because you are what you eat. You can feel it. Like when you're eating like all the processed food, you eating McDonald's, you eating, yeah. And then also there was a time where I was an emotional eater. There was a time where, oh, if I'm sad or if I'm feeling some type of way, I'm going to go grab something that made me feel good in my flesh. But over time, it was causing me to gain unnecessary weight. When all you thinking about is, okay, when is my next meal? Problem. We have to have a talk. We have to have a discussion. Seeing people around me that was suffering from like diabetes, high cholesterol, I started researching stuff. I started looking into, okay, what causes this? What are the symptoms of this? I don't want to be old and unhealthy. You want to be able to have longevity, endurance, all of that. Health and wellness is so important to me because not only do I want to look good, I want to feel good. Having some lemon water does wonders. Like I do not eat anything that has red dye. I have become a person that reads labels. When I go to the grocery store and I go food shopping, I'm going to read the labels. And just because you're eating healthy doesn't mean you can't eat good. There are a lot of things that I make that taste really good, but it's healthy and it's good for you. You're not going to have high cholesterol. You're not going to have all of these different health problems because I'm being more intentional about what I'm putting in my body. Like if you actually are more conscious about what you're eating, I think half of the sicknesses that people get, like, diabetes is reversible. High cholesterol doesn't have to be your life story for the rest of your life. But what I think my passion started at Jamba Juice. When I started working at Jamba Juice and I was making smoothies for people and I was making juices and stuff like that, it all started in 2016. Yeah, it started in 2016 when I got my first job at Jamba Juice when I first moved from New York to Florida. And that's when I was like, yeah, health and wellness is something that I'm passionate about. I used to make videos of me cooking, of me making meals that looked so good and taste good, but it was healthy. And people would literally hit me up in my inbox like, girl, can you send me a grocery list? Like, what did you get? And I'm like, wow, like people really are into this stuff. A lot of people think that in order for you to be healthy, that you have to have a whole bunch of money. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's an investment. You the same way you invest in your hair and your makeup or material things or even food that you eat, you should want to invest in your health and being healthy. So if I have to pay a little bit extra to get something that's going to benefit my health in the long run, I'm willing to pay that price because my body deserves that. And I should love myself enough to do it.
What's a belief or habit you've had to unlearn in order to grow into the person you are today?
Wow, that's a heavy question. I had to unlearn that I was too much. I'm too much for the wrong people, but I'm not too much for God. One thing that I had to learn was to stop caring so much about what people said and think about me. Because if you are so focused on the thoughts of people, the thoughts of man, their voice and those words will become your truth. It will become like you'll believe it. The Bible says that faith comes by hearing, right? So if you keep hearing the wrong things and the things that God never said and the things that you know are not true, if you keep hearing it, you're going to believe like, oh, okay, maybe that is how I am. You're going to start like kind of like second guessing yourself and thinking that, oh, well, maybe I should do this. Like God could be telling you to do something or be talking to me about something that I ask somebody else, oh, what do you think? And if you're always ask somebody else, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? When do you ever just care about what God thinks? Now, yes, sometimes you do need to ask for a second opinion, but there are times where God just wants us to go with what he said and that's it. It's true. Because, sometimes when you keep repeating a thing, you can start to think it's true. Like people that lie, they keep repeating the same thing over and over again. And then at some point they start to believe what they're saying is true. And then you're like, but that's not true though. But they believe it because they have convinced themselves that that's the truth and it's not. So for me, I had to learn to stop caring so much about what people think about me.
It's like what we said about our kids. We don't want our kids performing out of fear so that they don't get in trouble. And I feel like that connects with people pleasing.
Right.
You gotta perform so that you can be accepted instead of you just being you and accepting that some people are going to accept you and some people are not going
And
to
that's
accept
okay.
you.
Yeah.
That's okay.
If you are being a people pleaser and caring so much about what people think, and you're always making decisions based upon, okay, what are they going to think? What is this person going to think? You lose yourself. You lose who you really are. Like you lose the beauty of who God created you to be. When you start performing for people, right? It's not even about I love you for you. I love you for what you can produce and for what you can do for me. But if you didn't have any of those things, I wouldn't even deal with you. I don't want you to love me from a place of performance. And when you are performing for people to love you, it's not real love because that's not even how God treats us. There's nothing I can do to earn God's love. I don't really deserve it. So there's nothing I can do to earn it. Anything in you that needs to be groomed and matured and shifted and changed, all the things, right? God's word will do that. He doesn't want people to love you from a performance. Like people can't buy me. I don't care how much stuff you give me, whatever. You cannot buy my love. I'm going to love you because I love you. I don't love people for what they do for me. I don't love you for what you have given me. I don't even really want your money for real. Like I want you. Like you get what I'm saying? I want relationship. I want authenticity. I want genuine behavior, like pureness. You can tell when somebody loves you and when they tolerating you. God don't tolerate me. He loves me for real. And I had to unlearn doing things for people to love me. And if you do try to perform for somebody's love, it's not going to last.
And you know what's crazy? Some people, they want you gotta perform for to have their approval. So my next question is, what happened when you stopped performing for people?
Wow. When I stopped performing for people, I found my identity in Christ again. I messed around and remember who I was. I messed around and remembered how valuable I am. I'm not a placeholder. Like I'm really somebody that holds a lot of value. And it's not coming from a place of arrogance. It's coming from a place of confidence in the Lord. I felt like Jasmine 2.0. Like I was like, where has she been all along? Like I was hiding. I came out of hiding. And now that I'm out of hiding, I'm going to make sure that the light that God placed on me shines in the capacity that he wants it to shine. I can't hold back who I am anymore. It's like you're living in a false reality, a false narrative. It's like who I thought I was really wasn't me. But because the me that shines was too much for some, and I had to shrink myself or try to prove myself, I don't have to do that. All I got to do is be and let God do the rest. I'm not going to hold y'all. I took a break and ate some sushi. Okay, it's about that time for us to close out on this episode, but I do want to say that I really enjoyed spending time with you all today. Please make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and that you share this with a friend and leave a comment. Tell me how this conversation made you feel, if you resonated with anything that I shared, anything that was said. And if you have any like suggestions, ideas, or something that you would like to be discussed on the podcast, you can shoot me a DM on my Instagram and I'll have that linked below in the description. So I love you. Thank you for spending time with me on the Daily Dose podcast. And we have so much more things coming. I have a few announcements that will be coming probably in the future episodes. But I want to say again, I love y'all. Thank you for being a part of the community. Until we meet again, I'll see you in the next video. Later.